This is the final review of 2024 and the last movie to review on this episode of this podcast. We're talking A Complete Unknown starring Timothy Chalamet. Let's jump into this review right here, right now.
I scream, you scream for movies, and that's what we be doing.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast I Screen, You Scream for number 4 movies. Dan Kamalaji, the host of the show, and today we are talking one of the final movies of my watch list of 2024. And I've been really excited to look into this movie and thought, this is so cool to talking about. And I'm like, why not? Considering that I'm a huge fan of this director, and this actor, of course, has the lead role as the Bob Dylan himself, and in the starring lead role of A Complete Unknown starring Timothy Chalamet. I'm very excited to talking about this episode of this movie with you guys. So before we get started, if you're new to the podcast, subscribe to whatever you're listening on, Apple, Spotify. If you happen to come across the YouTube channel, or if you're just listening to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow where I can post my video contents that you can see my face and other stuff, of course. And apologize for my facial look. Never had the chance to get myself cleansed, but this coming week I am going to. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about A Complete Unknown. So this movie, I heard very interesting things about it, considering this is the director who's coming out from Logan, Indiana Jones, and The Dial of Destiny last year, James Mangold, who's directing this, but Timothy Chalamet is in the star lead role as Bob Dylan, and you have other supporting cast in this movie that also pull me in, which is one of the major factors why I'm so intrigued in this movie and been hearing great things about it. So obviously I had to really see this movie, and I feel, and just to give my initial reactions, this feels very great. And like I said way back before, I am not truly a biopic guy who loves to watch these kind of movies, and honestly, they're just hard to pull me in. But because of James Mangold and Chalamet, I had to really come out and see this movie, and I'm really wowed all over how electrifying and amazing and dazzling this movie was. The musics were all over the place, which is supposed to be the idea of Bob Dylan, which really makes sense if you think about it, what this biopic's related to. And it has great moments of performances here and then, and it's got amazing soundtrack, a lot to this movie. And I really felt great, and I was able to take it all in going into this movie as I watch it. So I can't wait to bring about the subjects of this movie that I really want to touch base on. First and foremost, let's talk about James Mangold. Great job with this man. The fact he's taken on this directional style to the 60s about Bob Dylan and the setting this movie goes into, it's very intriguing. I never see him go into movies like this before. He may done other projects that I can't recall what he does. I mean, like I said, he's done Logan, 3 to 10 Yoma, Ford v Ferrari, Indiana Jones 5. But this one right here, I mean, if you know James Mangold, he always knocks out of the park and he always nails it. I love the fact he came to do this movie and really pulled me into this style he's going with. So I gotta say, he took this direction very well to this movie, and even get the best performances out of the cast, of course, especially Chalamet, which I'm go over in a second. But I cannot wait to see where James Mangold lies ahead to. And matter of fact, he is going to work on Swamp Thing at DC with James Mangold. James Gunn, fucking raw feed. And I'm very excited to see what he does. And considering all the work he's done with the previous movies, I can't wait to see what he does next. But James Mangold really did an amazing job with this movie, with the setting and the direction and the style he's going with, the 60s. It's really amazing to see how interesting it was to see through this movie and what kind of direction he brings to this movie in such passionate way. And now we'll get to the main cast. Of course, Timothy Chalamet is the role of Bob Dylan, and coming off from the legs of Dune, which kind of doesn't look like it will have some Oscar performance-wise, but giving this movie a Oscar-worthy shot of Chalamet, this is it. Like, literally, this is the one for Chalamet, and I'd say he gets the Oscar. The moment I finished watching this movie, I'm like, Timmy Boy earns that Oscar, and I mean, I hope he does. Like, he did an amazing job transitioning the role of Bob Dylan, and you can even tell that whatever he talks, he really sounds super different. And the kind of passion he puts in and the musical performances whenever he sings on screen, electrified. He electrified and owed the entire screen all to himself. And with James Mangold's directional on him, this made Chalamet a one hit to look like he's the Oscar person. And considering he's been in the Oscars before as best performance for a a film called Call Me by Your Name many years ago, I really hope he gets the name in that Oscar category for best performance, best male lead performance, my bad. And I'm very excited to see if this kind of movie gets all the Oscars in the world. I mean, besides performance wise, I don't think James Mangold will get the directional nom nom, but with Chalamet, it's a nom 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 instant, and I'm very, very happy to see where this goes. I mean, Chalamet owed the screen, so he gets all the credit due to what he does on screen, considering whatever movies he's done. This is the one I think he gets the Oscar performance nom nom nom, and I'm hoping he gets that win otherwise. Two supporting casts I gotta give credits to, and this is one of the factors why. I mean, you got one of Top Gun Maverick's co-star lead role, that's Monica Barbario as John Beats in this movie, and she was great in this film. She's also a great support to this movie's aspect as a supporting character, relationship to Bob Dylan, and she also really owed the screen pretty good. I was smiling to what she does, the performances she puts out with the singing and everything. She was great. I really enjoyed that a lot. You also got Elle Fanning in this movie, who's also going to be, which one of the biggest games I'm excited next year, Death Stranding 2. She's in this movie as Silva, and she was also a great support to this role as well. I actually enjoyed the support she does in this movie, and really, she's really great. I gotta say, considering how this character works with Bob Dylan's relationship, that's also, and the fact is, two of the performances were also great to Bob Dylan's relationship, which also serves the biography of these characters as well, which really elevate the story and the characterization well enough that these characters fitting into this movie really fits the deed to the biography about Bob Dylan, which is really awesome to see. So Elle Fanning and Monica Barbario, great supports in the role as well. I really gotta give credit to those as well. There's a lot of soundtrack to this movie performed by both Bob Dylan and John Beats in this film, but I think a lot of the soundtrack goes to Bob Dylan. And while they're all pretty electrifyingly pretty great with Chalamet's performances by the singing, one of the songs that really reminisced me a lot, because I heard this song before and I kind of realized this is something that it sounds like he would sing and looked like it's the case. You had the times that are a changing in this film. And when I heard this song, I was smiling because one of the movies I saw this past years was Watchmen, and that intro in the beginning, that song was playing, and I remembered instantly. This is a song I remember, and I actually love that song. So one of the soundtracks of this movie is really great with the music, and this really, with Chalamet's performances, he sung way and elevated exactly what Bob Dylan sings like, and it's truly inspiring to see that. So that's also a great thing to elevate on the highlights of this movie. I really enjoyed the soundtrack, and they were electrifying to listen by Bob Dylan. With all the goods in the way, I do have to mention one of the little issues came across this movie is that when it comes to biopic movies like this, it just doesn't have any those moments where it tells you it's about to end, or it just doesn't give you the indication of where the stakes is going with this movie. So biopics like this are hard to tell when they end, especially how long the runtime is, considering this is like a 2 hour and 20 minute movie. I sort of had a hard time figuring out when this actually ends or something, especially like I said, doesn't give you any high stakes moments to indicate where this ends or when it's about to end. So, and that's the case with me with biopics. So that's a little issue I have come across it, but that's really not the main issue considering I get where the story's going. So that's why it's taking a little long. But my issue is it just doesn't have any of those indication of high stakes telling you where this ends and where it's not ends. So I mean, really not easy to tell when it comes to these kind of movies, and I understand how long it takes to resolve the story. So that's the only down issue I have come across this movie with. In case again, I'm not a biopic guy, but this is just me going through this movie, and I still actually like this towards the end of the day for how much promise it shows. To conclude my overall thoughts, this movie surprised me, and it's actually going to fit in my top 10 movies of the year, considering this is an exciting and electrifying movie that I actually really enjoyed, and it surprised me very well. I mean, my circumstances to given expectations of how this movie goes with Chalamet's performances, and they both succeeded my expectations pretty well. Chalamet, like I said, owns the screen a lot, electrifies the performance of Bob Dylan, and James Mangold did an amazing job with his direction and the storytelling of this movie with Bob Dylan's aspects into the 60s. And I really never into biopics, but this is so rare. Movies like this gets me in, and I love James Mangold. So this is why it signed me up to this movie. One of the big factors. So a complete unknown really electrifies the big screen of Bob Dylan, and it gives a lot of reasons to these kind of people going to see the movie. And when I went to see the movie, there were like a lot of adults there because those are the kind of people that may listen to Bob Dylan or maybe live in those era with Bob Dylan back then. And I'm guaranteed this may not be the case, but this is kind of where Bob Dylan's music kind of hits a lot to all these older people, and that's where the ages come. So that's a very intriguing thing to see where the demo's at, especially box office wise. It did pretty good for the holidays, and it's even, I'm sure it's got a lot of female followings with Chalamet, and I'm sure those young females went to see it over Chalamet in the aspect. And this is where I had to even agree to seeing that with also younger audiences. Chalamet is a butts in the seat star. He's becoming the next Leonardo DiCaprio kind of thing. And I think this is the kind of generation he's heading to. And this is where it follows to why he can go anywhere beyond to what role he does. And this is where he can shine in these kind of movies. He's on Dune, like I said. He's on A Complete Unknown. He's on Call Me By Your Name. He's on all the other movies in the past, elevating this kind of iconic Leonardo DiCaprio stardom that he's heading into with this movie. With that said, the movie rating I will give this is an 8.5 and 4 stars. Again, I would have raised it a little more if this film's kind of have those high stake moments to telling me when it ends, because I couldn't tell when this movie ends, especially how long it is. But I still enjoyed it overall. It's a great film for many reasons of James Mangold doing the work in this movie, and I always knew this is a film that I think it's going to be good enough, and it just delivered. So, other than the weaknesses, the performances, the positives does outshine a lot major of the weaknesses, and that's when I really raised up the tip of the score. So, like I said, 8.5 out of 10, 4 stars for this movie. Guys, to keep this short, this is actually the end of the video. There's nothing much to really break down, or this is just me breaking that episode for myself. So that's going to be it for the final film of my movie going of 2024 of the year to cap it all off with a bang, A Complete Unknown. I highly recommend checking this movie out if you're a Chalamet fan, Bob Dylan fan, or a James Mangold fan. And it really, of course, fits for everybody, especially adults too that enjoys Bob Dylan stuff, Chalamet fans overall, even young audiences too. I really recommend this movie a lot, and I rate this 8.5, 4 stars. So with that being said, guys, I cannot wait to even give you guys the next heads up of this episode coming up. I will be doing the final episode of season 3 of I Screen, You Screen 4, number 4 movies, and I will be breaking down the top 10 movies of 2024. So if you don't want to miss that, stay subscribed to whatever you're listening on, any podcast. If you're just listening to the podcast, though, you're not getting a whole story because you'll get to see my face, and you also get to see the background. You also get to see anything. So I'd say subscribe to the YouTube channel, even though this video on the YouTube channel isn't going to be special anyways, but you only get to see my face. But regardless, I really recommend the YouTube channel because YouTube is becoming a thing. And of course, content wise, I also post trailer reactions. I've been doing trailer reactions the past couple weeks. I did one for Sonic. And just to give a little quick shout out to many people that checked out my latest trailer reaction of Superman, it's blowing up. So if you guys want to check out my reaction to Superman, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe there. And if you're new to the channel, of course, if you found this video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and comment. Tell me what you think of this movie overall, if you enjoyed A Complete Unknown. And follow my social media platforms, Twitter, TikTok, they'll both be in the show notes. And my Letterboxd, of course, for more movie review depth in purpose. And that's going to be it. Until then, next time, guys, this is Dan Askamalaji signing off of I Screen, You Screen 4, number 4 movies. Until then, stay screaming for the movies, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.